Welcome everyone to the Helm Developer Weekly Call for Thursday, July 30th, 2020. I'll drop is the agenda been dropped in? Yes, so we have an agenda. The first thing we have up is announcements, and it seems we need to talk about the 3.3.0 status. 3.3.0 release candidate 1 was released with some breaking issues in it. Release candidate 2 was released yesterday, which should hopefully fix those breaking issues. We found a few other bugs, but they were not regressions that caused severe breakages. The severe breakage was every time you ran any Helm command, like install, upgrade, any of those, all hooks in the chart were included. That was a pretty big breaker. That should be fixed now. And so now we need to go ahead and release 3.3.0 itself. If we have no issues, we should be able to do that this coming week. But we probably need a volunteer to go ahead and release it. I won't be able to do that next week, but I could do it the following Monday if it still has not been released. So that's where we stand on the status. Anybody have any other announcements?
Announcement, no, but one of the discussion items I put in was a question, which was if we're thinking about putting 2.16.10, I believe it is, out, because we know about the aggravating way GitHub labels things, if 2.16.10 is ready to go, should we release that before 3.0.3, just so that then 3.0.3 sits there and looks nice on the page for a long time? Do we want to try to?
I would argue not, because we've got the support or the bug fix support window. It ends on August 13th. So if we're saying we have a bug fix window for the next 2 weeks, and we release 2.16.10 before 3.3.0, we either have the case where we release 2.16.10 and then we're still accepting bug fixes, and if there's anything between now and August 13th, we then have a 2.16.11 or 2.17.0, which I believe Farina was...
I need to get that done, and I haven't gotten it done, and I don't know that I'm going to try and get it done before August 13th.
Yeah.
The big thing that's left to get a 2.17.0 out is to actually point us to use Docker Hub for the images.
Right.
I need to round out and finish that because we will be garbage collecting the old location for images. And so that needs to be done. And the moment that's done, then we could do a 2.17.0, which would probably be our last one.
Okay. So I guess that argument before doesn't really stand then, because we would be releasing releasing 2 Helm 2 releases between now and August 13th. Or shortly after August 13th. So.
Yeah, and I would like to, so August 13th is 2 Thursdays from now. It's 2 weeks from today. And so I would expect 2.17.0 to go out on the Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or maybe even the Thursday itself. But that week is when I'd probably release 2.17.0. So we can say, here is your path forward, because it finally moves you off. Unless somebody wants to round that workout before then, that's when I'll be able to get to it.
Okay, sorry, that wasn't an announcement. So let's go back to where you were.
We really jumped into the discussion topic.
We jumped in. Please go back.
Right into the discussion topic. So I'll move us back to the top of the discussion topics then, because we kind of did get into this. So the first discussion topic is Bridget and Mark did the KubeCon EU talk for the intro to Helm, and they're actually asking people to do pop-up style video comments that they can do. And so in the notes, and I think some people came late.
Yeah,
in the notes, I'll drop it in. Oh.
Yeah, I added, you can go ahead and drop the notes in again. I added a Google Doc. If you go to that Google Doc, you will see our script. It's not perfect, but it's pretty accurate. And you'll see a link to the video if you want to see us saying the stuff. If you leave any comments in the Google Doc today, then we will hopefully be able to put those in as little pop-up videos. And Joe was Googling the pop noise yesterday, because that's very important.
So if you've got comments, please give them. Please heckle the speakers. Have fun with it.
And I see this as because we're all kind of getting sick of recorded video content. So this is kind of you take the best bits of the discussion afterwards and you kind of put it in throughout so that people can enjoy it. That's the goal anyway. But it only works if you give us at least 1 or 2 thoughts or observations about our content. And you don't have to watch the video. You can just look at the Google Doc. All right, please.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And then the last thing we have is a pull request from Martin that asks, does this pull request break backwards compatibility?
Yeah, so why I'm asking this, I'm always a little bit, backwards compatibility is always around APIs. I'm clear on that one. This is around so this person has a good valid case why they'd like to see this description come out and the status. And usually it's around if something fails badly, they get that information back. The point I'm making here is we normally don't put the description field out in status. So does that break backwards compatibility because it's coming in the output?
So we've had cases like this before where we were asking whether introducing new features to Helm lists output would be considered a backwards compatibility breaker. And the argument that was made there was as long as the output flags in terms of like output JSON, output YAML, and all those things, they still output as valid YAML or valid JSON, then our contract is still succeeded because we're still outputting the same information, or we're outputting new information, but it's still able to be consumed in the same format. And the same argument can be made for the table output format. The only case where it might be interesting is where people are taking the table output format and they're piping it through awk or sed or things like that. And so generally what we've done in those cases is just added it to the end of the row so then it doesn't, if you do like an awk print $2 or awk print $3, we don't break that particular compatibility. So if assuming that the description field is being added to the end of the table, so then it doesn't kind of mangle with the existing output table format, then that should be fine for backwards compatibility.
There's a little gotcha on this because this isn't actually a table. So it's rows of data. So obviously if you write a script that says, you know, it looks to get, like it wouldn't make, so what normally comes down is you have the different rows down a row, and then you have the pending status, and then you have the actual notes for that particular release or chart, the note that goes out. So it would be before that because you wouldn't really stick description after the note. So if somebody was writing parsing code or data mining or manipulation code or ETL code, then they're going to probably pick a row. So
right, I forgot that the status
is
just completely unparsed. It's just plain text. It's not actually a table format or things like that. That changes things, I think.
Yeah. So this is so this output we used to parse it over on charts stuff, and we may still actually do it someplace. Was a real pain to parse when you look at it from just a text output. And we would actually have to look for a particular key in there, such as new line, revision, or new line status : and then grab the text after it before you got to the next thing in order to figure it out, because it's just a pain to find the key and then the value, which is one of the reasons for YAML and JSON output, which I don't know, are we actually including the description in the YAML and JSON output forms, or
Yeah, we do, but the OP raised a good point why they would need it.
I'm not arguing that. I was just actually seeing whether there was an issue of we also needed to make sure this was in the YAML and JSON, but if it's already there, that's good. I don't know that this breaks compatibility. If anything, we've already got compatibility breaking problems, because you'll see that one of the things that's changed up top is the list of the resources. You're going to see that's actually broken, and so you remove that line, but that's actually supposed to be there, and that's broken right now. And we've had pull requests that have never quite fixed this right come in,
okay,
but that's actually one of the bugs. And so we are going to have future changes to this when we fix that bug finally, of restoring the list of resources, because they're supposed to be there. In fact, I wouldn't remove that negative line. If anything, I would say, we got a bug that needs to be fixed that nobody's fixed right And so I expect this output to be changed, but the way we always had to key off of it was we couldn't expect it to be so far down. We actually had to look for information. And so the stuff could change a little bit, and it's like a new row. This is a pain and ugly to parse.
So in a nutshell, are you saying, yes, you can add a new row and it won't break backwards compatibility? I'm putting you on the spot now, Matt, sorry.
I know you're putting me on the spot. I want to say I think so, but I don't have enough history on it. I just can't think clearly on this right now. I would probably ping Dr. Butcher, who I think he would say it's all right, but I would get his input because lately he's been giving me little pieces of context and examples that I've forgotten, and he remembers far more clearly than me, or from before my time on the project, that he might be able to give some piece of advice, and he's not here today. But I generally think this is okay.
Okay,
Sure is here today.
Is he?
Hey, Adam's here.
Dr. Butcher's here. I'm sorry, I didn't even see him so quietly join. Dr. Butcher. You're muted.
Hello.
The butcher boy is in the house. I got a question for you.
We got a question. So this pull request, I dropped it into chat so you can easily find it. In Helm list, we're talking about adding a description field along, or no, I'm sorry, not Helm list, Helm status. You got things like name, status, revision, blah, blah, blah. One of them, we're talking about adding description to the text output. As far as they said, it's already in the YAML and JSON output. It's not in the text output, but because it adds, and it makes a change to the output of just bland text, does that change the API in a breaking way? I was going to say no, but you may have a different thought.
This is output from the command.
This is output
yes.
from the command, Helm status. So you do Helm status and then the release name, and it tells you things. Remember that this text originally came back from Kubernetes.
So we've usually said that output from a command line can't change if doing so would cause shell scripts that use the output to potentially break.
Yeah.
Because of the number of shell scripts used to do Helmy kinds of things.
Yeah, this can break somebody. Yeah. If somebody wrote code in a certain way where they just think that a certain row is going to be there, yes, then it would be broken.
So we would usually say then, if you want to add it, you have to add a flag.
I'm really curious how this could be construed as a breaking change in some ways, because if it's all plain text, it's unformatted, and so there's no real way of parsing it other than like using grep to go for a particular line in the output. So I'd have a hard time figuring out if introducing a new line of text to like a text file or to output of this particular thing would not. Like the table output format, the JSON output format, that's very clear and dry, and that's easy to figure out and say, if you introduce an output in there and you try and awk a particular column or row and that got changed in a new release, that's breaking. But I'm having a hard time figuring out like what bash commands or what command output would you take from Helm status, and something that used to work before would no longer work today if we introduce this.
And I'm going to throw an interesting bug wrinkle into it, Dr. Butcher. So Helm status used to show the resources in their status. That is currently broken. And it is a filed bug, and we've had pull requests, but none of the pull requests have sufficiently fixed it, so they haven't been merged. But that's broken. And so eventually we're going to fix it and add the status to things back. But we don't have it now, but we had it in Helm 2. And so what does that mean for something like that as well, right? And the way we parse this when the charts repository CI used to look at it was, I'm pretty sure we looked for that particular line. It was probably something like, we're going to look for /n, then uppercase status : space, and then grab the stuff after it before the next new line character, right? We did stuff like that. And in that kind of parsing, this doesn't break it.
Yeah, about people are parsing the right way to do it is, but the bottom line is we're violating the breaking change rule if we change the output of this command to include new fields that weren't there before. So I don't know how people are parsing the data. I don't know if anybody is parsing the data. Our guidelines have been, we don't change the output of commands where the command might be parsed by a shell script. So help text inbounds, output of just about any other command, usually out of bounds. And the advice we've always given is add a flag if you want to add more data. The other stuff being broken, that's bad. I'm sorry to hear that. But, you know.
Okay. So the general advice here is we need to put it behind a flag.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll stick that in. Thanks for that. It makes sense because there is a way to write code, whether you like it or not, where someone can just check the row number of the data coming back.
Yeah, I mean,
you should never do, but you know,
exactly.
everyone does it from time to time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. It's gone on too long. Thanks for all the advice, folks. Thank you.
Well, that was the last item in the agenda, or did we get more items? Oh,
I totally went and added another item. I'm sorry, not
Oh,
sorry.
we went and added another item.
Because I was reminded by, oh no, we only have 2 weeks left to think about this. If people want to look at the 1 PR or the 7 issues and see if you want to do something about them, if you do that, then I will start drafting a blog post that I promised I was going to write with Adam. And I will start drafting that this week. About, hey, V2, it is EOL, you got to migrate, etc.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the bug window for Helm V2 is 2 more weeks. So the 13th, I believe, is the date that it is done. It is done. It is gone. We need to get 2.17.0 out by the 12th. And the only major change needed to that is to dump the container images into Docker Hub and then tell Helm to pull from there instead. Actually, a pretty minor change. And then release 2.17.0 and tell people about it. We can probably release it that week. And then, then we are in security fix mode for 3 months. So we probably need to have a blog post about it as well. And if anybody wants to go pick up those last few bugs, yeah, like you said, then we can get 2.17.0 out.
I've started taking a look at some of those V2 bugs. We could argue that if there is a lot on our plate, like with the Helm 3.3.0, Helm 2.16.10, and then Helm 2.17.0, we could potentially just push out the Helm 2.17 release until after August 13th. I mean, the hard August 13th date is saying we're no longer accepting bug fixes, but that doesn't imply that we need to have the release out on that date. Right. We can just say the merge window for bug fixes is closed. We're going to go and release 2.17.0, and that's going to be the last one. So if we need to push that out to make sure that bug fixes are being reviewed properly and things are going through, then we can make that call. So I would just wanted to say that we probably shouldn't make it a tie that we want to say 13th is exactly when we're going to release. We can push that out if we need to, make sure that it's okay.
So I want to make a suggestion then, that because it's bug fixes and the bug fix window ends on the 13th, that on that week, like the week of the 10th, 11th, 12th, we release the last 2.16, 10 patch release. And then we say, okay, we're done with bug fixes. Then 2.17 is for your long-term usage window, which adds the flag to skip the stable repository and lets you download from Docker Hub instead. And if there's an issue with either one of those two being broken, we'll probably fix it. But otherwise, the bug support window is closed and it's only security fixes from then on. But we can move the move over till afterwards. So up to the 13th, we just focus on bugs.
I think that's good. The only concern would be if Google Cloud decides to close the bucket on exactly the 13th. I don't know. Do we have a committed date?
Oh, no. They wouldn't close it on it's November 13th is the end.
Oh, November
13th.
You're right.
That's the date where that's the date where all support ends. The August 13th is just bugs, but we still have 3 more months of security fix
Okay.
window.
Right.
And so we it's not end of support altogether. It's just end of bug fix. And I think the announcement should be clear about that. For 3 more months, we are still accepting security fixes.
Okay. And just to a little heads up here as well. Our entire team is going to be out meeting Microsoft on the 11th, 12th, or is it the 10th, 11th, Butcher? I think it's the 11th, 12th.
11th, 12th, yeah.
So we're going to be out for like a little virtual offsite during that time. So we're going to be unavailable on those 2 days. So I think even that plan aligns quite nicely with that, because then we can come back from the offsite and we can start planning that 2.17.0 together if we need to. So,
okay.
And then we can be available for releases and maintenance and helping out, look at patches and whatnot.
So we can do this. If we want, we can try and get as many things in by there. And then on the 11th or 12th, I'm happy to cut that 2.16.10 release. I'll be around, I can cut it. And then from there, right, and we can put out the blog post at the same time, maybe on the 12th, we say, or the 13th, we cut it, right? Maybe, or I won't be around on the 13th, so I'd have to do it on the 12th unless somebody else did. But I could do it on the 12th, and we could put out the blog post that day as well. Or if somebody else wants to do it on the 13th. And I'm happy to help with the blog post too.
The 12th is great. I am involved in the offsite stuff, but because of time zones, the entire Eastern/Central morning, I'm totally free. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and if we craft the blog post beforehand, it's pretty easy to get it in and get it reviewed and get it out. So, all right, then maybe we plan on the 12th to do that. And if folks want to fix more 2.16 bugs by then, please have at it. There's some issues. All right, then we're about done here. So I just want to make sure that we get stuff, people for next week. And so we need a moderator, notes, and issue triage. Don't all jump at it at once.
I can.
Adam
Oh,
on. Okay.
I'm out.
Notes.
I can do notes.
And issue triage.
I'm happy to help out with that.
Great. Which did you put down for notes, me or Scott?
Oh, sorry. I got Dr. Butcher down for notes. I missed that. I'm not sure who, race condition, who got it first. You want to do rock, paper, scissors to see who does it?
Oh, I only did it twice, so I lost.
You lost. So Scott, does the winner get it or the loser get it?
So many channels. Butcher, if you'd like to, that's totally fine. I did it the last week. So
It's okay.
Okay. There we go. All right. All right. We have 6 minutes left. Are there any other issues?
Just me saying pop-up videos.
Yeah. Don't forget Bridget's request. All right. If we don't have anything else, have a wonderful week, and we'll be back here for another meeting next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everybody.
bye.